Islam.
Islam and Mr. Moose.
Islam, Islamism. Welcome all. I am Dr. Saraya Rehum Musa Pretabulu Bey of the Maryland Council, rising giving praise to the Almighty God Allah, His Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the forerunner Marcus Messiah Garvey, our Moorish American theocratic government, the Maryland Consulate, all of the consulates of our theocratic government, all our Moorish kin, everything that is Moorish, all the youth and yet born. I say peace, love, and gratitude. I will read our Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Islam.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Islam, everyone. I'm Terrell Freemanell of the Maryland Consulate, rising and giving praise on this great day to the great God Allah, Father of the universe, and highest honors to his prophet, our prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. I want to give high honors to our Moorish American government, our Moorish American theocratic government. I want to give high honors to all officials and all citizens of our Moorish American government. I want to give high honors to all Moorish Americans and the indigenous nation of Moorish America. I want to give high honors to the leaders of the nation. That's our youth. I want to give high honors to all of our children. I want to give high honors to all of humanity, all of the family. I want to give high honors to all of you for being here today. Islam. Salvation, our God, unity. The divine constitution of Moorish America. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of Moorish America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The Bylaws, Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh. And on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws of and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folk, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and impartial of all uplifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, peace and blessings be upon him, founding father and framer of the divine constitution and bylaws of Moorish America. And now this meeting has been opened according to law. We say Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Islam, everyone. Good afternoon. This is El-Bey of the Maryland Consulate. I'll be reading the chapter of the week, but before I do, let me rise and give perfect praise and thanksgiving to our Father, God Allah, the great God of the universe. Highest of honors to his prophet and our prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Honors to the forerunner, Marcus Messiah Garvey. Honors to our Moorish American theocratic government and indigenous nation. Honors to the officials and to its citizens, and special honors are extended to the children of the nation. Honors to my Moorish kin everywhere and all things Moorish. Honors to our beloved brothers today putting on this a special class, and honors to those who will be participating in the class via social media. The chapter of the week is chapter 15, entitled Yehoshua and Barata. Together they read the sacred books. Among the Buddhist priests was one who saw a lofty wisdom in the words of Yehoshua, that Yehoshua spoke. It was Barata Arabo. Together, Yehoshua and Barata read the Jewish Psalms and prophets, read the Vedas, the Avesta, the wisdom of Gautama. And as they read and talked about the possibilities of man, Barata said, "Man is the marvel of the universe. He is part of everything, for he has been a living thing on every plane of life. Time was when man was not, and then he was a bit of formless substance in the molds of time, and then a protoplast. By universal law, all things tend upward to a state of perfectness. The protoplast evolved, becoming a worm, the reptile, bird, and beast, and then at last it reached the form of man. Now man himself is mind, and mind is here to gain perfection by experience. And man and mind is often manifest in fleshy form, and in the form best suited to its growth. So mind may manifest as worm or beast or bird or man. The time will come when everything of life will be evolved unto the state of perfect man. And after man is man in perfectness, he will evolve to higher forms of life." And Yehoshua said, "Barata Arabo, who told you this? That mind, which is man, may manifest in flesh of beast or bird or creeping thing?" Barata said, "From times which man remembers not, our priests have told us so, and so we know." And Yehoshua said, "Enlightened Arabo, are you a mastermind and do not know that man knows not by being told? Man may believe what others say, but thus he never knows. If man would know, he must himself be what he knows. Do you remember, Arabo, when you were ape or bird or worm? Now, if you have no better proving of your plea than what the priests have told you so, you do not know, you simply guess. Regard not then that any man has said, what any man has said. Let us forget the flesh and go with mind into the land of fleshless things. Never mind, mind never does forget. And backward through the ages, masterminds can trace themselves, and thus they know. Time never was, when man was not. That which begins will have an end. If man was not, the time will come when he will not exist. From Allah's own record book, we read, the triune Allah breathed forth and stood 7 spirits before his face. The Hebrews call these spirits Elohim. And these are they who, in their boundless power, created everything that is or was. These spirits of the triune Allah moved on the face of the boundless space, and 7 ethers were, and every ether had its form of life. These forms of life were but the thought of Allah, clothed in the substance of their ether planes. Men call these ether planes the planes of protoplast, of earth, of plant, of beast, of man, of angel, and cherubim. These planes, with their teeming thoughts of Allah, are never seen by eyes of man in flesh. They are composed of substance far too fine for fleshy things to see, and still they constitute the soul of things. And with the eyes of soul, all creatures see these ether planes and all the forms of life. Because all forms of life on every plane are thoughts of Allah, all creatures think, and every creature is possessed of will, and in its measure has the power to choose. And in their native planes, all creatures are supplied with nourishment from the ethers of their planes. And so it is with every living thing until the will became a sluggish will. And then the ethers of the protoplast, the earth, the plant, the beast, the man, began to vibrate very slow. The ethers became more dense, and all the creatures of these planes were clothed with coarser garbs of flesh, which men can see, and thus the coarser manifests, which men call physical, appeared. And this is what is called the fall of man. But man fell not alone, for protoplast and earth and plant and beast were all included in the fall. The angels and the cherubim fell not. Their will was never strong, and so they held the ethers of their planes in harmony with Allah. Now, when the ether reached the rate of atmosphere, and all the creatures of these planes must get their food from the atmosphere, the conflict came. And then that which the finite man called survival of the best became a law. The stronger ate the bodies of the weaker manifests. And here is where the carnal of evolution had its rise. And now man, in his utter shamelessness, strikes down and eats the beasts. The beasts consume the plant thrives on the earth, and the earth absorbs the protoplast. In yonder kingdom of the soul, this carnal evolution is not known. And the great work of masterminds is to restore the heritage of man, to bring him back to his estate that he had lost, when he again will live upon the ethers of his native plane. The thoughts of Allah change not. The manifests of life on every plane unfolds into perfection of their kind. And as the thoughts of Allah can never die, there is not death to any being of the 7 ethers, of the 7 spirits of the triune Allah. And so an earth is never planned. A beast or bird or creeping thing is never man, and man is not and cannot be a beast or bird or creeping thing. The time will come when all these manifests will be absorbed, and man and beast and plant and earth and protoplast will be redeemed. Bharata was amazed. The wisdom of the Jewish sage was a revolution unto him. Now Vidyapati, the wisest of the Indian sages, chief of the temple Kapavitsu, heard Bharata speak to Yehoshua of the origin of man, and heard the answers of the Hebrew prophet. And he said, "You priests of Kapavitsu, hear me speak. We stand today upon a crest of time. 6 time ago, a master soul was born who gave a glorious light to man, and now a master sage stands in the temple of Kapavitsu. The Hebrew prophet is the rising star of wisdom deified. He brings to us a knowledge of the secret things of Allah, and all the world will hear his words and glorify his name. You priests of Temple Kapavitsu, stay. Be still and listen when he speaks. He is the living oracle of Allah. And all the priests gave thanks and praised the Buddha of enlightenment. Islam, thank you for allowing me to read.
Islam, Islam, Islam. First, I want to rise and praise Almighty God Allah. I want to give honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. I want to give honor to the theocratic government and the indigenous nation of Moorish America. I want to give honor to the divine constitution of Moorish America. I want to give honor to Act 1 of said constitution. I want to give honor to all officials in Moorish America. I want to give honor to all citizens in Moorish America. And I want to give a special honor to our children, our babies in Moorish America. I want to give honors to all of our Moors who opened our meeting according to law. I want to give honors where honors are due. I want to give honors to each and every one of you who have joined us for this Maryland Consulate Sunday Zoom class on our new time at 1 p.m. Sundays. I want to give honor to all the Moors who have joined us. I want to give honor to our Moorish kin who are watching us on Facebook. I am Sheikh El-Bey, Vice Consul General of the Maryland Consulate, Moorish American government, and once again, honors where honors are due. Looking forward to this class, Moors. We got 3 hosts. Our Deputy Consul Generals will be hosting this class. Senior Deputy Consul General Anwar Ali El, Deputy Consul General Saraya Rehum Musa Pretabulu Bey, and Deputy Consul General Terrell Freeman L. All of the Maryland Consulate, Moorish American government will be our hosts. Their title for today: The Divine and National Movement of Moorish America starts from the center, parentheses, knowledge of self, and must emanate to the outer bounds, parentheses, the 4 corners of the earth. They have several words to define: higher self, lower self, station, divine, nation, constitution, and freedom. The objective for today's class, to learn what it means to be a citizen and or minister of our Moorish American government. They'll be coming from several resources: Quran Questions for Moorish Americans, 101s, Keys 13 through 19. Also our Divine Constitution of Moorish America. They'll be coming out of our Holy Quran of Moorish America, Circle 7, Chronological Order, Chapter 67, The Divine Origin of the Asiatic Nations, and that's on page 61 and 62. Also, they'll be coming from the Exhuming of a Nation, the importance of a proper status, and who are the Moorish, who are the Americans, who are the Moorish Americans, how did Moorish derive, on page 205. And also we'll be coming from some YouTube videos, the Amexum channel, first one being Nationality, the Missing Link for so-called Black people, and also Black in America. They know who you are. Here's why they won't tell you. And when the time for the floor to be open, the question on the floor is, what are the benefits of knowing who you are? So with no further delay, and before we get started, just want to say our Consul General, Dr. Malik El-Bey, is on a mission. And as soon as he's available, I'm sure he'll be chiming in. But high honors to that moment for the work that he does. So with no further delay, I'm gonna turn the class over to Deputy Consul General, the mighty Musa. You there, Mo man?
Islam, Islam, Islamism. Gratitude for that, sir, and welcome back. Glad you had a safe return. We are going to go into our master words of study. We have, again, as it was said earlier, 7 words of master terms of study: higher self, lower self, station, divine, nation, constitution, and freedom. So we're going to open up and see if we can get 2 more to come up with the definition of higher self. And we have an eager goddess, El-Bey, Islam. What say you?
Islam. When I think of my original studies of the Holy Quran, I think of the best explanation or the way that the most succinct definition of the higher self is found in chapter 3 of the Holy Quran. That chapter is entitled Elihu's Lessons, the Unity of Life. And I think of the higher self as everything that is good and right in humanity. But chapter 3 describes the higher self kind of like as the timeless aspect of Allah within all of us, referring to it as spirit clothed with soul. And it also talks about the higher self as the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life, and also the embodiment of truth. And the higher self is also described there as being representative of justice, mercy, love, and right. So everything that is good in man, Allah within. Islam.
Islam, goddess, gratitude for that measure. That is a succinct definition of the higher self. We also have our Senior Deputy Counsel General, Anwar Ali Agluel. Islam, Mo.
Islam, Moors. Islam, Islam. Once again, I rise, giving perfect praise to the great God of Allah, honor to his prophets, honor to the last prophet these days and time, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Give honor to the Royal Council, the Moorish American government, all the officials, all the citizens. I give honor where honor is due, give honor to all of you, give honor to this Maryland Consulate Zoom meeting and everyone in attendance. Islam, higher self. And external and an eternal, omnipotent, conscious, and intelligent being who is one's real self. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude for that measure.
Gratitude.
Is there anyone else who has a measure for higher self before we move on to our next master word of study? Islam. All right, the next master word of study is lower self. You still have your hand up, Senior? Okay.
I got a definition for it.
Okay, Islam.
Lower self. The lower self consists not only of the common faults and individual weaknesses that vary from each person, but also of ignorance and laziness. Islam.
Gratitude for that measure. We have Sheikh Gashmi Bey, the Vice Counsel General of the Maryland Consulate.
Islam. Praising Allah and giving honor to our holy prophet, Drew Ali. Lower self, from our 101s and also from our holy Quran, it tells us that the lower self is hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms. And also I'm gonna add to that it is your area of appetite. Those things that a lot of times we desire, but we shouldn't be partaking in. That's the lower self, Islam.
Islam, Islam, gratitude for that measure. And, we know when we operate in our lower selves, and we know that we're being selfish and we're saying, okay, but, I want it, so I'm going to do it. But every action, well, thought is the cause of all, that's first. But every action that we do, there is what we call a ripple effect. So every action is like you dropping that rock in the water, in the atoll. So when you're operating your higher self, which ultimately is love, and you drop that rock in the atoll, it spreads out, it emanates, and people can feel that vibration. And then it inspires other people to want to do things out of love and out of the principles that are of the highest nobility of man and mankind. When you're doing the lower self, when you're doing actions out of that, you drop a rock in that same water, and that emanates and vibrates throughout. And now you have several people imitating you, doing the same thing you're doing. You're wondering, hey, what's wrong with society? Look in the mirror first. Look in the mirror first. Take stock in your responsibility and what can you do? Because we can redeem ourselves. The power of redemption is within us. Allah, the God Almighty, is within us. We need not look outside. That's why the number one lesson on this planet for every one of us is to know thyself. That's why the number one lesson is to know thyself. It will help you navigate this thing, because everything in you truly is an illusion. But I don't want to get too far off track. Is there anybody else who has a measure for lower self? All right, Islam. The next master word of study is station. Station. All right, I got two immediate responses. One from Sister Shebe, and secondly from, okay, we have the Vice Consul General Ashley Bay checking in, and Dr. Freeman, I see you as well. Islam, goddess, you go.
Islam. Station is a noun, and it's defined as a place where an activity or service is based, or the place where someone or something stands or is placed. And it's also been used in the past to define a person's social rank or position, similar to a post. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude for that. Gratitude for the multiple, the varying definitions. Because that's another thing we need to learn about the English language, is these words that we use have multiple meanings, and they can be used in various ways. So we should be mindful of how we're using them and what we're expressing to people. It's one of the reasons why, I'm an old school guy. So when it comes to texting, I text a word out. I don't text the emojis and whatnot unless I have a word to explain behind it, because I don't want the wrong message to be conveyed. Islam. Vice Consul General, what say you?
Didn't the deputy have his hand up?
He did, but we're going to go protocol, sir. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Islam. Station. I'm a camelback off the goddess definition. Similar says, put in or assign to a specific place or a particular purpose, especially a governmental or military. So when we look at the Moorish American government, and we're dealing with stations. See, this is very important, because station is another word for responsibility. Now, you're not going to see that in the dictionary. They're not going to tell you that in the dictionary. But in the Moorish paradigm, as far as on a governmental level, station and responsibility are one and the same. So when a person decides that in the Moorish American government, they want to move from a citizen. So because citizen is a station also, but they want to move from the position of a citizen to a divine minister. See, a divine minister is a station, and it's more responsibility that comes with it. Deputy Counsel General, Vice Counsel General, Counsel General, all of these are stations, but they have responsibilities. See, no longer in the Moorish American government do we need ministers, divine ministers, who are not working. All right. We don't need cheerleaders. We don't need backups. We don't need any of that. We need people on the front line working. See, because what is happening in the Ukraine today has been happening to us for 500 years straight. They just didn't put it on CNN. They dropped bombs on us. They sent in soldiers on. They do all this all the time. And everybody. I put up a post saying that I stand in solidarity with the sovereign nation and people of the Ukraine. I do. See, because what is happening to them is a war crime. It's a crime against humanity. It's genocide all over wealth, power, and resources. Once again, right? Has nothing to do with somebody wanting the original Russian Empire back. He wasn't living during that time. He was a boy. He still is a boy, really, in mentality, maturity. So this station is very important. Because from these stations comes our government, comes the stability of our government. So we don't need part-time helpers. Now, anybody can help, aid and assist. But if you carry in the title, the station of divine minister, that's work. That's work. So just wanted to add that, Mighty Moose. Islam.
Gratitude, Vice Counsel General, for that measure and that explanation. And we need for government officials, when we're dealing with our theocratic government, we need you to know that even as a citizen, you have a station, a duty. And as you take on jobs and duties and responsibilities and stations within the government, it may not say that in the definition, but it should, because it is synonymous with duty and responsibility. You're not taking the station to be somebody that just shows up. Islam, Vice Counsel General.
Islam, Mighty Musa, you just brought something to mind, right?
Yes, sir.
With that title, that station of citizen. Once again, look at what's happening in the Ukraine. Their right to self-determination is being taken away, being taken away from them, to the point where average citizens are taking up arms, learning how to we don't have to take up arms, right? Learning how to make Molotov cocktails. No, we don't need to do that. But look at the responsibility that they are taking for their nation, right? Now, and then look at us for the past 90-some years. We don't even want to make our meetings. If we gotta do one thing, and all of us have different things to do. I'm not talking about specific times and what have you, but as a people, for the last 100 years, we haven't wanted to be responsible for ourselves. We can't even make a meeting. God help us if we had to take up arms, it wouldn't be but a couple of us. because everybody else be saying, well, I got to watch the football game or the basketball game, or I got to run to the market, or I got to make some dinner or whatever. All of that is okay. But guess what? Them people in Ukraine ain't thinking about no market, no football game, none of that. They thinking about the whether their nation is going to survive or fall. And we have gotten comfortable into thinking that everything is okay, and it's not. Islam, Musa.
Islam. Gratitude for that addendum to the meeting. It's very important. Here is our brother Terrell Freemanell. Islam Freemanell, as you post up the graphic.
Islamism, and gratitude. I was going to stand down. Actually, stand down is the wrong term. In full concurrence with my Moorish kin and the grand measures brought forth and that continue to come forth. Enough said. However, the ethers have been stirred, and as the definition, and in continuing with this definition, before I go into that, I wanted to, the picture that we're seeing here posted is this is self-determination. Let me take a breath. Excuse me. So as the Vice Consul General was just going into, as we've been delving into with this particular word that I'm going to continue on, we're going to start with this picture. And where I'm camelbacking on is we've been hearing how this word means this, and it also means this. However, it might not say it. You see, these kind, wise, masterful, loving teachers, they put it out there. And I came across something that removes any doubt, contradiction as it relates to Western definition. But before we go there, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so this picture right here is an example of self-determination. Now, it doesn't say it, or does it? So within 1,000 words, it says it very clearly to me and very clearly to others, very clearly to Ukrainians that could see this right now. It's in the ethers, and they're attached to it. They're all up in it as well, keeping it above the neck and keeping the love out front. So we're just seeing some boards on some windows. However, this fits within a context that in a real world, in real life, in a real understanding of what's really going on, it's really very clear, as well as other things. So we have to continue to use what we know and sometimes take for granted, because we use these things as we need to. However, the paradigm of need is what we're reviewing every day when we self-study, every time we get together as Moorish kin, as Asiatics, as members of the human family, and demonstrate self-determination, keeping the love out front, on our own vine and fig tree, in our own positions. These are things we do all the time, and we see it, but we have to recognize these aspects of our own understanding, and we have to understand that this is our nature. So when I went into that word station, it didn't take me long to find exactly what the ministers brought to my attention, because I had something else set aside. What they brought to my attention with the responsibility that comes with station, but the work that comes with station, I see right here in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, 1828, station: the place or position in which something or someone stands or is assigned to stand or remain. Any of the places in a manufacturing operation at which one part of the work is done. Equipment used usually by one person for performing a particular job. the act or manner of standing posture. Then it goes into different aspects of stations of the cross. It goes into stations as in standing in rank, a woman in high station. It goes into aspects of a place of specialized observation. All of these things imply responsibility. Don't get lost in the words and the jargon. You know what they mean. All of them, all the time. So keeping the prophet out front, we have to continue to be master etymologists, descendants of those fathers and mothers of civilization, and tap into that spirit and just know. And just know. But in this knowing, it's activity. It's always active. It's always moving. When things become stagnant, that's when we have to be very mindful of our choosing. So I just wanted to really give honors to what was brought forth, because we are just getting started. Islam.
Islam and gratitude, Deputy Counsel General Freeman, for that measure. That word station is extremely important, and each of us has a station in this life. You know, you have a duty and responsibility. The irony, as I speak, talking about this place where we reside and how the Ukrainians are actually using citizens to take up arms. There was a time in the United States in the infancy when they were fighting for their so-called independence, that they had citizens take up arms. They were called Minutemen. You know, Massachusetts, I believe, still honors that. They have a statue that honors this Paul Revere type of style, that you were, quote, ready in a minute. As soon, you know, if it comes up, we move accordingly. And so they were citizens, but they had a station, a responsibility to maintain their way of life, to uphold their way of life, or what they wanted life to be. The importance of us being in our meetings faithfully and being faithful, period, to this, to our nationality, to ourselves, because it's our nation, ours. Because we've already tried it their way, and it has not worked. You know what? We get known for slavery. We get known for being number one suspect. Those are not stations that we want, nor that we place on ourselves. So our apathy and our stagnation has allowed us to still be in this position, even as folks have come along the way to try and let you know that you have the power to do for you, to pick you up, and you pick us up. And we do this together, and we rise. So it's very important to understand the role of a citizen in a nation. Islam. The next master word of study is divine. Divine. Do I have any more who are prepared to give the definition of divine? Islam.
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 Islam. Praising Allah, giving honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Divine, pertaining to, of the nature of, or proceeding from God or a God. Islam.
Islam, and I understand that. Islam, and gratitude for that measure. Okay, so we just popped up like we got the sister, the goddess, Nicole Williams El-Bey, Islam. Then we have Senior Deputy Counsel General Anwar Ali El. And then we have Deputy Counsel General Freeman El, in that order. Goddess Williams El-Bey, please.
Islam, that was my definition, from God. Islam.
Islam. Anwar?
Islam, haven't
Yes,
already
sir.
written. Divine, God-like, godly, with a small g, and of the nature of God. Islam.
Islam. Deputy Counsel General Freeman, what say you, sir?
Islam and gratitude.
Islam.
Islam. Man, I'm just stirred up over here. I'm camelbacking off of those mighty contributions. And I wanted to refer back to our chapter, the chapter that was read today, chapter 15. Yehoshua and Barata together, they read the sacred books. When we get to ayat 31. Yeah, I'll stay with ayat 31. The angels and the cherubim fell not. Their will was never strong. So they held the ethers of the plain in harmony with Allah. Okay, so divine and camelbacking off of those mighty measures. I wanted to concur with the of relating to God, that as well as the verb that we sometimes forget, to discover by intuition or insight. To discover by intuition or insight, transitive verb definition of divine, as well as an intransitive verb, to seek, to predict future events or discover hidden knowledge, usually by the interpretation of omens or by the aid of supernatural powers, to practice divination, prophecy. And then it follows up with to perceive intuitively. So again, this intuition, this cherubim and seraphim, the two that held and the five that fell, as my brother said, know thyself. Now, see, this is what it means for us when we say keep the prophet up front. And this is what, again, we mean when we're like, now, it doesn't say this right in front, but it should. See, this is when we get into just the nature of the universe. We have the profane and we have the subtle. We have the hidden and we have the obvious. It's all one, though. It's all one. And so we just have to make sure we stay centered and come from the center at all times, especially in mind and in heart, because these things have always been with us and we've been here from the start. Islam and gratitude.
Islam and gratitude for that measure, sir. And I would like to camelback off what you said. There's another definition that says that divine means excellent or delightful. And what I understand from when that word divine is used, everyone is always using it for something of the highest order. Something that they see at, and the word that I put with divine is noble. That they sound, noble and divinity, divine. When you're conducting yourself as the noblest that you can, that's when you're looking like our prophet. Noble Drawley, when you walking in those footsteps, and he walked those footsteps in treacherous times where he was getting, I don't even want to mention how many death threats that he got, from not just the so-called enemy, but the people that look just like him, because they were afraid of the truth. And I mean that, because people sometimes, when you bring the truth to them and they actually realize that, he might be onto something. Now, let's go back to that word station. Now I got a responsibility to do something. And I was fine just being over here. I was fine when I was ignorant. You just stirred everything up. We've got to get from under that blanket of ignorance, because that ignorance multiplied with the hatred is why we're getting the things that we're getting today. Ignorance multiplied with fear is breeding hatred. And we are the people who are suffering from it the most for the longest period of time in this country. They still have the authorities killing your people, men and women. You are a threat if your hands look like this. You're a threat. Why? It's because they know who you are, and you don't know who you are. And they would much rather keep it that way. You don't even realize the power that's going to be unleashed when enough of you get to that golden consciousness and that understanding, that divine understanding, that noble understanding of who you are, who your forefathers were, and how greatness is sitting right in the palm of your hand. As you all were just bringing up that word intuitive, notice how everything that's intuitive seems to be coming from the Creator. And why would it be coming from intuitive? Because it's inside of you. You can say that word, intuitive. Close your mouth and just say it to yourself. You hear it, but you didn't have to use your ears. You said it, but you didn't have to use your words. Where's that power coming from? Inside. So, let's play Master Word of Study. The next word is nation. Okay, I'm ready for the hands to just pop up on this one. Can I get a measure on the meaning of the word nation? Because I know every one of you all is ready for your own nation, your own vine and fig tree. I know this, so let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready for you. Who shall go first? Don't all jump in at one time. Islam, Senior Deputy Counsel, General Aliyah, Islam.
Islam, nation. A people who share common customs, origins, history, and frequently language. Islam.
Islam, gratitude for that measure, sir.
Gratitude.
Vice Consul General El-Bey, Islam.
Islam, praising Allah and giving honor to our holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali. The goddess just raised her hand.
Islam.
Nicole Williams El-Bey, let her go first.
So gratitude. Goddess.
Islam. I have a race of people, large group of people with common ancestry and language. And I also have birth rank.
Islam. Gratitude for that measure. Gratitude for that measure indeed. Islam, Vice Consul General, what say you?
Islam, praising Allah and giving honor to our holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, giving honor to the definitions that the Moors have given previously, just camelbacking off those definitions. Nation, I concur with all of the definitions. And when you hear that definition and you look into it, you see the commonality of the people. But when you look at what is called the modern day nation state, you don't see that commonality of the people. You have all different kinds of people. Europeans, Asiatics, Hindus, Muslims, Jews, Christians, atheists, all different kinds of people in the modern day nation state trying to be crammed together. All right. And from that comes confusion. See, because everybody wants to be heard, everybody wants to be seen, all these different kind of things, right? So when you give the definition of nations, You don't see nations was talked about in the Bible. You know, Allah said that I made you in tribes and different nations, right? But he ain't say nothing about a nation state. He ain't say that, right? See, because the nation state, although we call it modern day nation state, it has a much older parent, and that's called the empire. You know, and see, the empire's problem was once again the same as the nation state's problem. You got one authority over all these different ethnic groups. And you got to try that one authority has to try to figure out, how do I accommodate all of these different peoples and the different things that they want and they need. And it always eats at itself, because it never was meant to be. The empires, the modern day nation state came from greed. That's what it came from. You know, wanting what somebody else had. You know, so I'm gonna go take this land over and I'm gonna amalgamate these people into me. But the people never really wanted to be amalgamated. So you always have contention from one group or another. You know, so that's why the prophet said that the time is now that every nation must. See, he didn't say nation state. He said every nation must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and each tongue must confess its own. I heard one of the definitions say common language. That's each tongue confessing its own. You know, so once again, let's look at what's happening in the Ukraine. See, those people decided that they wanted to go back to their common ancestry, Ukrainian. No longer did they want to be part of that Russian Empire. All right. That was their ancestral land. And at a certain time, they seceded from Russia, you know. And now Russia is trying to take them back over, not because of anything good. Once again, it's because of there's a lot of steel manufacturing that's done there. There's a lot of nuclear byproducts that can be used for weaponry. You know, all kind of money there. That's why Putin wants it. You know, he don't care about the ethnic people there. He don't care about reuniting people. He don't care anything about that stuff. What he cares about is the money. You know, so this word nation is very important, see, because nations can coexist as long as together, as long as they are keeping to who they are, being themselves. See, when you are being yourself, you can interact with other people, then you go back home. See, but when you try to put all these different people into the same pot, this what they call a melting pot, hey, it's a mess. All the lines get blurred. All of the customs get blurred, right? Then you have Jewish people celebrating Christmas also, so that their children don't feel bad. You know, Muslims celebrating Halloween just so that the children, you know, all these different things that people are forced to do because, and it may not be a forced thing of anybody making them do it, but they just want to feel a part of it. But you were already a part of something. What's wrong with what you are a part of? And see, this is why the prophet said the time is now for every nation. This is the only way that it's going to work. That don't mean that we are islands amongst ourselves. That just means that we have that commonality where we can work together. And if we need something from across a boundary, then we work with that group. You know, reciprocal, receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations. So gratitude, Mo, that's my measure on nation, Islam.
Gratitude for that measure, and gratitude for the full explanation. You know, what we seem to be missing is that, you know, when we infringe upon someone else's culture, that takes away from their culture, or that does damage to their culture, their way of life. And so we should all have the space allowed to be who we are. Nothing, not our ancestral names shouldn't be taken from us. Not our spirituality shouldn't be taken away from us. Nothing should be taken away from us. We should be the whole self, not a part, not the 3/5 self, as they try to utilize for our people. And so with the Ukraine thing, something I've been, you know, I study nationalism all over the world, you know, because I understand what I want for our people, and I understand some of the things. Right now, that thing over there in the Ukraine, I wrote "Welcome to America," and I wrote it with triple K. Putin got Trump when he was the president to relieve the sanctions to build an oil pipeline through the Ukraine. The Ukraine wants to stay a separate nation and be paid for the oil going through the pipeline. Putin wants control of the pipeline because that would yield him control of $600 billion. That is Putin and his diabolical purpose. If the Ukraine has that oil as a gross domestic product, it fortifies them as a nation. You know, they have a product to barter and trade with the world in the economy. That's theirs. It's on their land. It emanates from their land. They want to be paid for what emanates from their land. Just like the Nigerians were when the so-called Nigerian pirates were, you know, coming across and taking these British ships as they came in to take that oil from Nigeria. They say you're taking it from poor people, you see the poor people, and you still steal from them and don't do anything to benefit those that you're taking from. So those Nigerians decided enough was enough, and they're going to take back what's theirs. What's happening with the Ukraine is the same thing. They're not trying to allow this bully and his dastardly deed to take over the world to come through their place and take the thing that they know could build them up as a nation and have them stand solid as a nation in this world economy. Every nation needs products to produce and have from their area to ship to the world, as well as for themselves. But greedy folks don't want everybody to have their own, and Putin is greedy, and we know about greed in this country. As I told you, Donald Trump is the one that assisted him, and is still waiting to reap the benefits now that he's been used. I see the sister Layla Shebe. Your hand is up. Islam.
Islam, honors already conveyed. I just wanted to camelback off your part, Brother Musa, that what we see happening in the Ukraine, what's the, I guess, the theme of most world skirmishes and wars has something to do with somebody always wanting to amalgamate something under themselves, whether it's people, their resources, something to amalgamate more and more power under themselves and to have an undue level of influence. That relates to our lesson about what constitutes the lower self, doesn't it? When it talks about unrest and death and what I would actually say, lewdness, murders, and theft, and everything that harms happens under those conditions. Even when the people begin to defend themselves, as you're mentioning with the Nigerians, and as you mentioned in your previous example of how your vibration, whether you're coming from the higher or the lower self, can contaminate the area around you. Even those people who then have to defend themselves and try to take back what's theirs, they have to resort to what appears to be lower self just to get it back. So it does actually contribute to a contagion of lower self that just only escalates. And it really does cause me to think about, every time humans waver or move away from what the prophet speaks about as own vine and fig tree, which is the really what a nation and nationality really represents. It always leads to disaster. Empires always crumble because the ethnic peoples or the nations always want to return to a position where they begin to unfold or evolve as they see fit in their own natural trajectory. Like Moors know that man is perfect, but not perfected. And so man, or nations, which is bad, they become perfected by what we as nations do, how we progress, how we determine we should unfold and change per our own collective salvation, shall we say. And it certainly does. It certainly does. I've lost my train of thought, but it certainly does make me see that everything the prophet had to say about those simple things really, really does show us that from the beginning till now, we still haven't learned that basic understanding of peace and own vine and fig tree. What belongs to somebody is theirs. And when we touch it, we even rob from ourselves in the end. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude for that measure and gratitude for that understanding. We as the different societies and nations and people that have been on Earth have not learned that war. Just to requote Marvin Gaye, war is not the answer. Something that I posted on a social media site I said, war is always damaging to all parties. Those who initiate, those who retaliate, and those who witness are forever damaged. We must reassign our moral compasses to genuine love. The losses from war is humongous and irreparable. The point that's being made is that, we always, even in the so-called victors, they have to wind up going back to do reparations for the nations that they damaged. The United States paid for the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki as they were on their way to bomb the lead city in in Japan, which was Tokyo. And that's when the Japanese supposedly surrendered. Again, if someone is dropping bombs that's altering the earth, I imagine, you probably would have to relent. I don't think people understand how demonic that statement was. We're dropping bombs on people that alter the structure of Earth. It was so devastating that as people are running from something they've never seen in their lives before, the bright light from the bomb put a flash and imprint of their bodies on walls as they're in mid-run, mid-stride. That's how devastating those atomic bombs were. And the effects are still being felt today. They were dropped nearly 80 years ago. The effects are still being felt today. So we've got to understand. We talk about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Love is in, it should be in everything that you do. You shouldn't be doing things from a selfish perspective. It should always come from a place of love. You wouldn't be going through this foolishness about somebody invading somebody's country to take them and what's theirs. Islam, Anwar Ali, Islam.
Islam, I just wanted to add something because since I've been studying these lessons and been in this Moorish movement and learning about nature, I've become real optimistic. You know, I see all the destruction around us, but I was looking for this book I got speaking about karma, but I just looked it up. This is what it says. What is karma? The principle of karma or law of karma is the notion that all of life is governed by a system of cause and effect, action and reaction, in which your deeds have corresponding effects on the future. Karma is precise science. Then it also goes down to say, it says, it is a universal law in the same way that gravity is a law of nature. If you jump off a skyscraper, you will very likely die. And if you harm someone, you will be hurt at some point. Not tomorrow, next day, but eventually. It says science has discovered that everything in nature obeys laws. These natural laws are impartial and indiscriminate. And I said that because, I mean, I see a lot of destruction going around and all the harm that the colonies did to Native Americans and Moors, and I mean, a lot of damage. And sometimes I think to myself, these guys with PhDs and doctor's degrees, they don't know anything about divine law, because it's still gonna catch up with it. Anyway, peace and love.
Peace and love, brother. Thank you for that contribution. Islam. If there's no more for nation, the next master word of study is constitution. Constitution. I see Deputy Counsel General Terrell Freemanel's hand up. Islam.
Islam, and gratitude. Let's see, for Constitution, my good brother, I have a few contributions, especially camelbacking off of that mighty measure from Senior Deputy Counsel General Dr. Anwar Ali El. Constitution. Now, the act or process of composing, setting up, or establishing the composition of a structure of something, the makeup, the system of fundamental laws and principles that prescribe the nature, functions, and limits of a government or another institution. And I'm good with that there. But again, from as above, so below, in our divine and national movement, all of this is why we cover all of this. Don't get lost in all of the ethers, because the thing about it is we bridge that together. We bridge that together. That's what life is spent to build in this form of Allah, in the form of man. That's what we're here to do, to understand and manifest our oneness with the great God Allah, known by many names. Known by many names. The fact still remains, even in the English language, a bastard language, a Johnny-come-lately language. We still cannot ignore the things that are quite obvious because it's inside of us, that intuition. It's inside of us, as Dr. Anwar Ali will say. Oh, he's going to say it, so I'm not even going to take it. But it's in there. It's in there. Like ragu, it's in there. So these are the things that we keep coming to as we use our divine constitution. When we open our meetings according to law, and that's a part of it. This is again for us. Let us not be so, let us not continue old practices, other practices of an external power that's outside of us. No, 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 no. This is a reminder, clear cut, from our prophet, a law in the flesh, just like us, but making things clear cut in a way that we don't have to get lost anymore. We don't have to look for the way, but we do have to be about our responsibility, be about our accountability, be about our duty. And as citizens, in your own nature, on your own vine and fig tree, these things come natural. Yes, it's work, but it's the work that's worthwhile and feels right. And so knowing thyself, the constitution of who made you, the constitution that's explained to you and I in chapter 1, let's say. There are a whole lot of chapter 1s, but we have a chapter 1 from us. We had a prophet. Get beyond the belief, have faith in it. And that's what we're going to keep demonstrating over here. So gratitude for allowing me to share Islam.
Islam. Peace and love for that, Deputy Counsel General. I like to say Constitution is the spine of a nation, because it outlines everything that a nation is to be and governs how you're supposed to move accordingly, and it's how you're supposed to stand. And the nation should stand as its constitution. So that spine backs you up. Islam, Senior Deputy Counsel Anwar Ali El. Islam.
Islam, Constitution. Constitution is the basic principles and laws of a nation, state, or social group that determines the power and duties of the government and guarantees certain rights to the people. And I just wanted to add the Sheikh said it once before him and I was talking, it said, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. And that definitely ain't happening in this country or anywhere else. Peace and love.
Islam. What has been lost, in rhetoric, people say the government belongs to the people. But you're obviously not listening to the people if you go into war. Most of the people don't want to go to war. You're obviously not listening to the people when you tell them that, hey, all y'all got to get vaccinated. A great deal of them don't want to get vaccinated. So how we move accordingly. Now, there are things that have to be done for the public good, but we still have free will. So we have to move accordingly. But again, everything goes back to know thyself. Everything goes back to know thyself. Is anyone else with a measure for Constitution? Islam. Our final master word of study is freedom. And I have some more come forth with the definition of freedom. I particularly would love to hear what the goddesses have to say about freedom. Islam, Deputy Counsel General Freeman Al, maybe you'll spark it. Islam,
inshallah. I'll, this contribution will get things rolling. I like to preface it by saying I don't know freedom, or I'm still remembering freedom. I'm calling upon all of my activities of the soul to remember freedom in the flesh this lifetime as a citizen with my brothers and sisters, but I don't know it. It's been some time. But some definitions I found that are right in line with what the prophet has brought forth the condition of not being in prison or captivity, the condition of being free of restraints, especially the ability to act without control or interference by another or by circumstance, the condition of not being controlled by another nation or political power, political independence, the condition of not being subject or despotic or oppressive power, civil liberty. And it goes on, but this is coming from just a online dictionary, and it touched me so deeply, I thought I'd share it with our family. Islam.
Islam, gratitude for that measure, sir. And you have sparked a few hands. Goddess Williams El-Bey, what say you? And the reason why I asked for the goddesses in particular is because it is the woman, when she raises a child, she raises a nation.
Islam. Islam. I have the power of self-determination, state of free will, emancipation from slavery, deliverance, and then it breaks down the word meaning exemption from arbitrary or despotic control, civil liberty, possession of particular privileges. But what stood out to me the most was the power of self-determination.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Islam, knowledge of self, self-determination. Islam, Vice Consul General El-Bey.
Islam, praising Allah and giving honor to Noble Drew Ali for freedom, just camelbacking off of all the grand measures that was given, and just focusing in on that part that it said exemption from arbitrary or despotic control. And the word despotic means tyrannical. So freedom, free from tyrannical control.
Free from tyranny.
And just from tyranny.
Yes.
Just camelbacking off of what you was talking about, Mighty Musa, as far as the bombs that was dropped on Japan. We got to understand the level of destruction. First of all, the bomb, one of them, it was two bombs. One of them was called Little Boy, and the other one was called Fat Man. Fat Man weighed 10,300 pounds. It was so big that Boeing had to come up with a new plane called the B-29 Super Fortress in order to carry this thing. All right. Had the destructive power that this bomb had never been seen before on this planet, And these crazy people built 120 of them. So when we think about these tyrannical regimes, these modern day nation states, right? And we talk about people's freedom. They don't care about people's freedom. Once again, there's a group of people, indigenous people, right? They're Europeans, right? Their people have been, they call the Sami people. Their people have been in the areas, it says that they are a Finno-Ugric speaking people. And their people hail from the areas that are called Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia today. These people are fighting for their existence, like we're supposed to be fighting for our existence. They are fighting because especially in Russia, but also in these other countries that we think are so great and nice, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and they do have good countries where the people are taken care of, right? But these Sami people, by law, can't speak their language, can't demonstrate their ethnicity, can't wear their ethnic garbs to work, right? And also in Russia, right, near where this mess is going on with the Ukraine, they are being persecuted, right? So so you see that it's not anything against us personally. See, they attacking and killing their own brother, you know, and they attacking their brother because their brother is finally saying, I want to demonstrate what Prophet Noble Drew Ali said and worship under my own vine and fig tree. No longer do I want to be a part of Russia. I want to speak my native tongue. But it's against the law to do that. It's against the law to be who you are. It's not against the law here, Moors. What is our problem? What is our problem? You know, I don't demonstrate Christmas, but the brother, I can't recall his name now. Stevie Wonder, my favorite Christmas song, "Someday at Christmas." I don't demonstrate the holiday, but I love this song. The lyrics of this song, it brings tears to your eyes. Someday at Christmas, men won't be boys playing with bombs like kids play with toys. See, this. If you listen to this song, it brings tears to your eyes. See, because you know that desire to have everything. I want everything, right? There's a cost to that, and it's human lives. It's children going to school and being disintegrated by bombs. Now, guess what? I spoke about the B-29 Super Fortress that can carry this bomb that weighed 10,300 pounds, right? Now they got bombs that somebody can carry on a bicycle that make Fat Man look like a firecracker, right? But they can't cure cancer. They don't know how to get rid of diabetes, right? But they know how to obliterate the whole planet if they wanted to. See, this is the sickness of man. This is the sickness of too much testosterone. See, because women, goddesses, would have figured out how to use that nuclear capability for something good. Something good. But what happens when it gets in man's hand? We can make a sword that'll, be able to blow up everything. So that's why the prophet said your own vine and fig tree. That's why he said we have to be a clean and pure nation. Because all these other nations have they got blood on their hands. They got blood on their hands, and that time is declared out. Islam.
Islam, praise Allah, gratitude for that measure. All praise is due to Allah, His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and the forerunner, Marcus Messiah God. We have to do better. We must do better. And the thing of it is, you said it. The women are the nurturers. So their nature normally is to heal. Unless some man has done something to help destroy that within her. No, we've been off our jobs. We haven't been protecting our women. That's why we running around here thinking we player. You know, that's a dumbass job to have. So we're dumbasses running around following that foolishness. Nonsensical. Thinking that a woman is property. Foolishness that we got from this side of the planet, by the way. Westernized thinking. Because I can tell you for sure, if we're talking about the continent of Africa in particular, what were the women down there? Well, they were warrior queens. So you can't tell me you were being biased if you were following underneath the warrior queen. And it wasn't just one of them. There were a few nations that were being run by the warrior queen. So understand that. Understand where a lot of our nonsense has come from. What we've been following. And out of blessings. The next two people that are going to speak are goddesses. Islam. Goddess El-Bey, then Goddess Williams El-Bey.
Islam Muslim. When I think of freedom, I think I felt freedom when I go within and I ponder truths, like honest to the previous demonstrations given. We were talking about what I would call toxic masculinity and violence. But we Moorish Americans, we've seen that glorious light, at least within. That's why we can feel the pining for more, because we felt the gap between between the ideal and what we currently are experiencing. More science, the Prophet blessed us a long time ago. It makes me wonder why we haven't done more with it. But the Prophet, in our slim pamphlet, it's called a pamphlet. It's not as big as the Quran of Mecca or the Holy Bible, gave us the maxims of truth that overturns the falsehood of all of the earthbound religions, which are mostly patriarchal. Those came in and toppled the matriarchy and brought lots of dis-ease to the planet, imbalance. But the Prophet gives us the maxims of truth. And when we have these maxims of truth, we have the opportunity to see without the blinders that our other religions on the planet subject their people to. Because if you read the Old Testament, there's every justification for what's happening. If you read what Jehovah looks like in the Old Testament, a jealous God, vengeance, putting people on spikes, right? You cross them 1 second, you'll plaster your whole nation with diseases, make you. But anyway, right? We like bringing the pain, right? But the Prophet gave us a religion that does not even allow us to harm the smallest little creature, and allows us to understand that all of life is interconnected. The maxims of truth, that's freedom. The Prophet said, know thyself. And in the studying of the metaphysics, the more science, we get an understanding of self, which is the beginning of freedom. We also understand when we start to study it, that we could go on for a long time studying. But as we study self, we appreciate all of life. Because once you understand how uniquely you were made, you begin to appreciate the right of other people who are also uniquely made
to be what they are and to unfold. You don't even want to interrupt that. So you begin to have an appreciation of all of life at all its levels. Praise Allah. That's freedom. That's a freedom that we actually feel within our breath every day as Moorish Americans. We actually can feel freedom. Most people don't. They think you have to live within the paradigm. But the more you study, the less in fact, not even the more you study, but the more you become the gods and goddesses that you really are, the less you feel inclined to interrupt anybody's evolution with your own supposed ideas that you know what's best for them. You say, know thyself and you'll know what's best for you. Speak to the God within, right? So for me, our prophet, our divine teachings, and our understanding of nationality and the interconnectedness of life is freedom. For me, to put it on the planet would simply mean to be at peace, to learn to speak in an intelligent tone and to share so that all of Mother's children can learn who they are and develop as masterminds should, as God should, going in the direction of going within for instruction and moving as Allah tells us to. That's to me freedom. That's joy, that's comfort, that's own vine and fig tree, that's happiness. That's being what I would say, while having a body, being at divine rest, no matter what one is doing. That to me is freedom. Islam. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Islam, praise Allah. Gratitude for that measure. Gratitude for that explanation. And it spikes something, something to my understanding. Watched the movie The Hurricane starring Denzel Washington. And he would not wear the prison guard. And he would not accept that he was incarcerated. So he went within and he did his due diligence. He did his physical work to keep his physical body straight. And he continued to study to make sure to get himself out of that physical incarceration. But when he went within, he said that's where he felt the free. That's where he felt it, because he would not admit to a crime that he knew he had not committed. He wasn't going to do so. So that's, from there I get for myself, I know freedom internally. I have a problem with the freedom externally. And going back to talking about those power or the devastation of those bombs, they're going to tell you the truth, even in ways that you would never think of. There's a cartoon on Nickelodeon called SpongeBob SquarePants. And the location of the cartoon is Bikini Bottom. And they show you all the alterations of life that have taken place and the changes in their natural habitat that have taken place because of what those humans are doing up above. So that is an indirect reference to the bombings that were tested in the Bikini Atoll. Bombs. Hey, let's see how they work. Altering the physical structure of Earth. They think they're not doing any damage to the Earth. Shifts are taking place now because you're damaging to the core of this planet. Do you all have another planet? Do you have another planet you can live? I know Richard Branson said he's going to take you to the moon, and Elon Musk said he's going to take you to the moon. How many are you going to be able to take? You don't have another planet to live on. And you fools are trying to figure out ways to destroy the one that's under your feet. And you don't understand the foolishness of that. Islam Goddess Williams El-Bey.
Islam, again, self. We have gotten far away from respecting the feminine energy. And that is a big problem. And until that changes, there will be more disasters in the world, because that is naturally the way that it happens. So just, I know men always like to bring up the fact that women are disrespecting themselves, but at the same time, why would you do it if you see that's what they're doing to themselves? If you didn't do it, then that woman would feel more of her true essence.
Stupid is and stupid does.
Yeah. So until we get that right, it's going to always be conflict, because women are taught to just listen to men. And that's what got us in this in the first place, listening and not having our own voice and speaking and saying, no, this is not right. That was taken away from us, our right to be able to decide on what was going on in the world. We somehow that shifted to men, and that became out of balance, because if you think about it, God was taken out of it. So when you take God out, what you think you're gonna get?
Well, you were bastardizing. That's why you got a bastardized world. You got a bastardized nation, nation state, whatever they refer to themselves as.
And right now it's a choice. It's simply a choice. So people have to decide. It's a matter of going with the Lord self or the higher self. Are you going to do what's right, or are you going to continue to go on this path and be eaten by the world, eaten by the earth, because that's what she's going to do, because she don't need you to survive. And people have to understand that they need to get into some real science instead of the science that they were given. Get into their true essence of what the different sciences mean. And I always see that picture of the prophet holding a woman. And I always go back to that picture, because people don't, because there's no caption, people are so blind that they can't even read it.
There's a caption. It's salvation.
Yeah.
It's and again, what he's showing you, we ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Without the system. We
can't.
Nowhere.
It's not possible
without
at
the
all.
system. That's
It
one.
is not possible. And once we start, everybody start to respect that, men and women. We have to respect it. And it's a big ego problem, because the man want to bam on his chest and feel that, it is him and him alone that can do things. And that's work that needs to be done. It goes back to that being freedom and that self-determination. Like, you have to determine that your way is not working and figure out, go the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Islam,
I believe it's salvation, but I believe the sister he's holding represents the cares of the world, but Mother Earth, etc. Very quickly, gratitude for that measure. It needs to be understood, and men understand this. Boys may not, but men understand When you get a good woman and you bring something to the table, the woman by her nature multiplies it. By the nature of the union of what we're supposed to be doing as woman and man. That's why we need each other. I bring it to the table, she multiplies. We create the nation. The first teacher of all human beings, male or female. What's the first house? The woman that carried you for 9 months. So all of that, all of the nurturing you're getting, all the feeding you're getting, all of the everything that you're encountering in your environment is because of that woman. And that's not who we're supposed to care for. We're not supposed to be divine with her. I disagree. Islam, Vice Consul General.
Islam, praising Allah and giving honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and just giving honor to the two goddesses for their elaborations. You know, if all of us men are honest, when we are in our darkest times, you know, down in the dumps, we don't want our father. A lot of times we don't even call on Allah. We want our mother. You know, when you get in that fetal position and can't move, a lot of times you thinking, I wish I could just go put my head on my mama's shoulder. You know, we forgot where we came from. That's the problem. We forgot where we came from, literally and figuratively. You know, mother is the first teacher. First teacher. She talking to us in the womb. Through the womb, you know, in the womb. You know, but then we get out here and we are taught to disrespect her. And then we wonder why the world is the way that it is. You know, matriarchy, patriarchy, they're not opposites of each other. See, a patriarchy is where male rule everything. Matriarchy simply means a shared power. See, because you got to have the yin and the yang. You got to have it. If you don't, there's an imbalance. And we see the imbalance today. We see the imbalance of not enough estrogen and too much testosterone. We see it. And see it. I love history. I'm a student of history. And as a student of history, you know, my take on the problem that the world has had for the last 2,000 years is unchecked testosterone. That's it. You know, you talked about those warrior queens. That wasn't just on the continent of Africa. That was right here in California. You know, they said that these goddesses were so feared by men. These goddesses sailed from the Pacific Ocean. They were known in the Mediterranean not to mess with them. You know, and guess what? They had to demonstrate that because of these crazy men trying to rob and steal and kill and everything else, rape and everything else. You know, it's amazing what, as a young man growing up, what your older brother and your father and your uncles tell you. How to treat women and, you know, how to run women. All this kind of stuff. And it never dawns on you, wait a minute, these women that they talking about, one of them is my mother, one of them, and some of them is my sisters and my aunts. Like we disconnect or something, And see, that's what the world is hoping, that we keep the disconnection. It stays disconnected. See, that's the problem with our community. We don't honor, respect, and all of that to our women. That is the problem. That's the problem with the world. I read it all the time and I can't find it now, but it talks about that lesson. Salome gave that lesson. Man has the greatest power today, right? That don't mean that he had it yesterday, but the lesson goes on to say tomorrow, woman teaches best. See, we had our time, and look at it. Look at the mess. Look at the mess. The three so-called Abrahamic religions came about during our time, man's rule. And there has been more bloodshed in the name of those three religions than probably any other time on this earth. On this earth. We know better. We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. Islam. Gratitude.
Islam. Praise Allah. Honors to his holy prophet. Gratitude for that measure.
I think we may have to do part 2 on this one.
We actually have it set up, brother. That's how it's supposed to go. We just flip-flop. That's calling on the Senior Deputy Counsel General. And Aliyah, what say you, sir?
Islam. The God has brought up the picture of the prophet with the woman in his arms, and that's true. That's what we see. But that subliminal message is this, and I just happen to have some literature on it. It says, again in verse 26, the prophet says of the soul, the end of her search of truth. Her means to discover it are reason and experience, because he refers to the soul as her or she all the time. You don't see a he in there nowhere. And then it goes on to say, and so it is throughout this chapter, verses 8, 11, 22, 23, 24, the soul is constantly referred to as she and he and her. The prophet depicted fallen humanity in the form of a woman because the feminine gender best describes the nature of the soul: sensitive, impressionable, intuitive, receptive, absorbing. This depiction of humanity in the form of a woman lying limp in the prophet's arms represents the collective souls of humanity. That is, the very soul, or rather souls of humanity personified. What this depiction teaches us is that by and large, the soul of present day humanity are unconscious, not spiritually awakened, prone, passive, unenlightened, debased, non-resistant, inactive, left at the mercy of the negative outside influences, the cares of the world, and in limp sin. Islam.
Gratitude for that measure. Gratitude for that understanding. It is amazing how these master words of study spark the ethers and spark our minds into thoughts that produce such a magnificent class. And again, I'm gratitude to the two goddesses that gave their measures, because, you know, and you were talking about it before, you know, is your mama's boy. You know, they say daddy's little girl, because you're still keeping the connection where we need more compassion. They need more understanding of this world and to be represented accordingly. Daddy not gonna let his little girl be abused. Mama not gonna let nobody take advantage of her son. You know, and so when we as fathers are not on our duty, or we as mothers are not on our duty, we see the damage that it does to the child. We're basically putting a war on the child. And this is just what we've done socially, because we just don't seem to know better. But we go to that holy covenant of the Asiatic nation, and it is my favorite part of it. You know, I love it all. I love to hear, if thy brothers in adversity assist him, if thy sisters in trouble forsake her not. We have been forsaking the sisters. We have left them to hold the banner while we run amok. And the time has to change. It must change. Islam. I go back to the Vice Consul General, Mark Ashley Bay. Peace and love.
Islam. So we definitely gonna have a part 2 next week. Just want to and see. I'm just gonna kind of back off you, Musa. Like when we demonstrate these vocabulary words, you see the vocabulary words a lot of times are a class within themselves. You know, because so much comes from them and comes out of them. You know, the connections that are made, and see, these are the connections that need to be made. You know, because it's the same thing as the prophet saying he connected the broken wires. See, because there's some wires that are broken that's not getting any connection. Therefore, there's no current happening. See, this is the only way that we can demonstrate the way that our people have been demonstrating for all these years. If there has been a disconnect, if the power has been cut off, and the power has been cut off, you know, because we've been looking everywhere else besides inside ourselves. You know, when you look at social media today and television and all that kind of stuff, right now, our men are waiting for our women to build a nation. That's what they doing. That's what they doing. And guess what? Each has a job to do, but it definitely ain't her job to build the nation. Definitely not. You know, Islam. They watching us. They watching us. Our women, I say it all the time, our women and children are watching us. And the thing is, what are we gonna do? And see, they're not watching us to see how we gonna dress, how we gonna, you know, any of these frivolous things. They want to know, when are we gonna build what we've been talking about for the last 100 years. They read the history about how great it was. They want to know when we gonna get it back there. You know, and it don't take 100 years. It don't, especially when a mastermind came and gave us everything we really needed to do this. Only thing is that we got to take what he gave us and think and create something. You know, so We before we close out, the general is on the scene now. I'm gonna call on the general. You there, Council General?
Islamism. First and foremost, I rise and give praise to Almighty God Allah and giving honor to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Al-Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. I want to give honor to our theocratic government of Moorish America, give honor to all officials of Moorish America, give honor to all of our children of Moorish America, give honor to all of our people all over the world. Give honor where honor is due, give honor to everyone that's on the panel today, giving honor to this class. As I was listening in, I've heard a lot of grand measures, giving honor to the grand measures that was given. Praise be to Allah. All I know is we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of cleaning up to do. In Acts 7, the prophet said, all Moorish Americans. He didn't say male or female. He said all Moorish Americans must purify their hearts and minds. I'm not taking nothing from nobody said. But I know that he said all Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love. Because see, we don't want to get caught up in the Western thought pattern. I heard the different measures that was spoken earlier, and the reason why all these cultures is losing their identity because they amalgamated. They amalgamated with the beast. The prophet Noble Drew Ali said finite minds can't comprehend infinite things. And what did they do with the Moorish Science Temple of America? Amalgamated. And Western Freemasonry took over. Now, Moors arguing about the Moorish flag when the flag of Morocco is being held by somebody else. See, your culture is twisted because you amalgamated. Now you have a misunderstanding about male and female, what a man is and what a woman is, because why? You amalgamated. You understand? So everybody is confused because there's a small elite group of people ruling the world and controlling everything. In the book of Genesis, goes back to the old scriptures, the older ones. We know we was all given the King James version. It says the King James version. So God created man. He created man. When he say man, he's not talking about a male, or he's talking about both. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Just because the word, the pronoun him was used don't mean that the female is left out. Don't get it twisted. Because see, we don't want to get in polytheism, dividing God into different aspects and stuff of that nature. He said male and female created he, them. It takes both to produce. You need male and female to produce the Trinity. The child is the part of the Trinity. One day, I think I am one good with this lesson. She redeems. That lesson, she redeems. That's a powerful lesson. Because although the woman brings the souls into this planet, this physical earth, she have a heavy responsibility on her of what she bring into this earth. Because you know why? From the last generation to this generation, there's a new generation being brought from the soul plane. So her state of consciousness, she got to be conscious of what she bringing into this earth. She can't just sleeping around when there ain't anybody. And the brothers play a major part in making sure that don't happen. Real men. I'm not talking about, so they both have a major part in building a pure and clean nation of people. We just got to be cautious. you know, because when you look at the Ukraine and all the other nations, they got mixed up and amalgamating, trying to befriend or amalgamating with the enemy, who openly, outright abuse them. I mean, just do whatever he wants to do with them. First, you got to give up those carnal customs and merely ideas of your open enemies in order to embrace your own. Because if you're trying to mix the two, when I was in the temple and they came with the Moorish Christmas, I ain't had no proof that, I didn't have any proof that the prophet said, this is your Moorish Christmas. All I knew is what Christmas did was not my culture. When I did the research on Christmas, and I was told that you don't take something from somebody else without giving somebody something else. Now that do make sense, right? However, I'm not gonna take Christmas. I know Christmas, people play around with their words. Like you said, the English language is so, you can use it in so many different ways. You got some people say Christ Mass and blah, 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 blah. But at the root of it all, in our mind, our slave-made minds, we thinking about Christmas tree. We thinking about gifts. We thinking about trading gifts and things of that nature, opposed to coming, so I'm just, Acts 7 said, purify our minds.
Don't forget about the liquor, General.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. So, I just, the concepts, our ideals as man's God. And as his ideal unfold, his God unfold. His God today, tomorrow not God. So we just have to continue to check our concepts. But in order to, and when we check our concepts, we have to make sure that we're checking it right and don't lean towards one way or the other. Because we got all these different types of movements. We got feminist movements. We got so many different movements going on. Moors was fighting in the movement about, we just now got out. Well, we wasn't a part of it, but we just now dealt with a group of Moors that it was a battle about the universe, the woman being God and man being her son, and Allah being the husbandman, and man, I'm telling you, a whole bunch of what? And nobody getting no work done. Going back and forth. And when at the root of it, trauma was at the root of it. You know what I mean? Because most of the people that was talking was single. They wasn't trying to get a Moorish husband. Their mate was a Negro. You see what I'm saying? So if you're going to say something or talk something, make sure you be the message that you bring first before you talk. I am forever grateful having a Moorish wife. And she's been by my side through thick and thin. I mean, a conscious one, That's not saying that she don't have any shortcomings or I don't have any shortcomings, but the prophet said, let your grand sheiks marry, obligates you. If you want to buy a wife, go downtown and get them from your slave master. He gave us instruction, but we don't follow the instruction of the prophet. We follow only what we want to follow and justify the other part. And that's why Ukraine and all those type of people wind up under the iron hand oppression of the other people, because why? They want to pick and choose, and then when the heat hit the fan, when the stuff hit the fan, hit the ceiling, now they remember their forefathers. The prophet said that the Moors only do things when their back is at the point of a sword. We got to take a look at what we do first, and clean up our house first, and then you know, because when I look at the history, the Ukraine did not just get that way because Russia decided that they want to do this. Now, I'm not talking about the innocent people who didn't have a choice in the matter, but they're elect leaders who sold them out, got the people in those positions. Just like our people, those so-called Negro leaders got our people in certain positions. Getting a chicken box in the back door, getting a paycheck from in the back door. You know, so those are the type of leaders that our people has been choosing, and it's just got to stop. You know, so I want to, like I said, give praise to Almighty God, Allah, and just and honor to our holy prophet, and just ask everyone to just continue to purify our hearts and our minds with love, and just have courage enough for the truth. Put a lining on our stomach. That's all. Because we're going to digest some stuff as we continue to move forward. Islam, gratitude.
Islam, General, and gratitude for that grand measure and that wisdom, and gratitude and honors for all that you do. Before we, Islam, you got something, Mighty Musa?
Islam, I thought we had till 3:30.
We do, but we
can at least put the question on the floor.
All right, but we'll put the question on the floor next week. We're gonna do part 2.
We got part 2 already set up, sir.
Oh,
To rock and roll. I trust me.
okay, all right.
It's been working over here, Doctor. It's been working over here.
All right, well, we can put the question on the floor. We got 18 minutes.
Okay,
Islam.
Question on the floor is, what are the benefits of knowing who you are? What are the benefits of knowing who you are?
So let's see if the general want to take that first, and then we'll.
What are the benefits of knowing who you are?
Islam, I already gave my message. I'm gonna just say balance. Right now, balance is needed more than anything. That's the scales of my eye. When we go back to the scales of my eye, we'll see the whole scenario of creation. Islam, gratitude.
Islam, gratitude for that, General. Gratitude, General. And Moors, the floor is open. Oh, I thought I saw Freeman L's hand up, but he fell off. So the floor is open for anybody that wants to respond. Here comes Freeman L. Wants to respond to the question on the floor, which is what are the benefits of knowing who you are? Islam. Freeman L, did you have your hand up before you fell off?
Islam and gratitude. Islam. Oh, in grand class, everyone. Grand class. I'm looking forward to part 2. In addressing the question on the floor, what are the benefits of knowing who you are, with the consideration of the objective to learn what it means to be a citizen and or minister in our Moorish American government. You see, as the goddesses reminded, I heard them a certain way. I heard the prophet, they sparked it. We're in a new era of time. And they reminded me about old times that I forgot about my, accountability and responsibility there within. And, the sheik came through and made it quite clear, our Vice Consul General, and all the other brothers and sisters on the panel, reminding how we got here. Cause and effect, not a mystery. I got to go within to find my devil Same way I go within to find my Savior. This is what it means to apply these laws. And then, I'd even started out saying, man, I'm remembering freedom. I'm remembering freedom. I know how to use these tools, and I'm in a certain place. And then Goddess El-Bey comes, not just bringing balance, leading the way. Goddess Nicole Williams El-Bey come leading the way, and reminded me of the work, some of the rewards of their work, that internal study. And it brought, again, balance to me in my work as we're, again, being about our Father's work. And it was, again, just bringing me back to this, we study universal law and masculine and feminine. We're not approaching it with a demarcated thought pattern. No, that's what I get by being myself. That's what I get when I am making sure I am every part of Act 6. And now making that active, Act 7 for me. In our divine constitution, again, I'm hearing the prophet up in here. I'm hearing the prophet, trying to keep the prophet out front, using this love, because, man, it takes work. And the finite stuff can kind of be distracting at times. So just let that love drive you. It conquers all, right? We know this. This is what we've been talking about. And then my constitution continues to tell me, because it responds favorably. It's like, hey, well, what's next? Then I go back to chapter 1 and I'm like, wow, that's why Creator Fate gave me this body? I hear you, prophet. Okay, these activities of the soul. Okay, I get it now. And now back to being this spirit that I am. So, the benefits, I'm learning to be content with my understanding and the where I'm at in my unfolding, because my duty is still, that continues. That's here, and that's that's here, there, and everywhere, like the great God of law. So there's no limitations but that which I put on myself. And in this physically quizzical time of so much war but seeming intelligence, so much seeming freedom but obvious slavery. Like, my brothers are being sold for $600, $700 on the market. I checked it out on the internet today, right over there in that Nigeria area. But then we know about human trafficking over here. It's not called slavery, but it is slavery. They know about it in New York. It's been that way. The Chinese know about it because some of their children are in it. But then ours are too, because we're a part of the 250,000 missing annually, not in prison, not found on the street, not repositioned, even as property of the U.S. No. Just missing, good enough. They predicted each year, like, well, hopefully this year we above or below the quota. That's a whole sick thought pattern. And that's just not normal to me. So whatever it's normal to, that's not my frequency. It's not natural to me. These are the things I get about. These are a part of the benefits about knowing who I am and knowing who we are. However, keeping the prophet out front and answering the question of who made you? Oh, the great God, Allah, Father of the universe. That's love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And all of the tools, not rules. These are laws of nature. Rules be coming from little old man. And when we talking about laws, man, if not for them laws, my heart wouldn't beat the way it's supposed to. It's in accordance with the all. I'm trying to keep in line with all of that in my time right here, right now. And I'm seeing that it's easier than I've been making it. I've been making it hard on myself. It hasn't been all of these shadows of thoughts. And I've been, it's that one, it's that one, it's this, it's that. And then when I get past all of the anger outwardly, I got to deal with the anger inwardly. Keeping that love out front. Understanding that Allah is love. Now, see, that makes it easier because I don't have to use Western definitions or his definition. I can go to my own finding fig tree, and then that path is right within me. These are things that our elders have known, but all of humanity is waiting for that seed to become grown now. And as the descendants of the mothers and fathers of civilization, that has to speak to you as it does speak to me. So as man, as wombed man, let's be about our Father's work. Let's be about our mother's work. Let's just be who we are, as the great God Allah will have it. So that's the benefit, in short, that I would convey, and gratitude for allowing me to share about knowing who I am as a Moorish American in this new era and time in my Moorish American government. Citizen first, Islamism.
Islam. Gratitude for that measure, Deputy. Before I call on you, Mighty Musa, we got the goddess Nicole Williams El-Bey's hand up. You there, goddess?
Islam. I just
Islam.
wanted to say, during this incarnation, I was born into the energy of Ma'at. I'm a Libra, so I'm all about balance. So I understand the roles of each other, but the point is, you can't drive a car if there's no engine. It's not gonna happen. And that's the understanding that we need to get to. Yes, we are together, but we also gotta know and understand which part we play. And do that. And be about the balance. Bring the balance back to the planet. For myself, it is required of me to be in a higher vibration. If I'm not, I pay. So it's my job to keep myself in balance. And that way the sickness and all other things, they stay away. So knowing who you are is knowing what it is you're supposed to do. Knowing your station and minding your station. And that's what I pride myself on doing. Just doing my part and not trying to do anything of anybody else, but just doing what it is I am, playing my piece in the puzzle. And just being as that, the balance. Islam.
Islam, goddess, and gratitude for that measure, and just just expounding on that balance. And we need that. We need that. One without the other is but half. So gratitude for that. And we before you, Mighty Musa, got the goddess Shebey's hand up also.
Islam Moors. Question on the floor. What are the benefits of knowing who you are with the objective to learn what it means to be a citizen and or minister in our Moorish American government? The benefits for me of knowing who I am is that I am freed from spiritual and mental and physical slavery to the customs of the world, the indoctrination of the world. When you have that, I think that puts us in an excellent position to be citizens and ministers in our own nation. When I look out at the condition of the other nations of the world, I see Rome to a lesser or greater degree. Islam, can you hear me? Okay. I see Rome to a lesser or a greater degree. And I think to myself with what the Prophet has brought to us, our meetings, our lessons, our personal study, in order to cultivate a pure and clean nation, you have to be a god or a goddess. Otherwise, you create another Rome. Like,
When I look out at, I live in Canada. When I look out at the world around me, I realize Rome has in place every type of ordinance, license, this, that, penalty, fine, jail, prison, in order to keep people who do not know who they are because of miseducation in line and controlled. And in a pure and clean nation, we're not supposed to have that kind of environment. We're supposed to, by virtue of being one with Allah and understanding who we are, we move rightly because we're in our higher selves. So for me, that's what it means. It means that I'm preparing myself to be the best sort of citizen and minister, because there is nobody that needs to give me the carrot and stick treatment. And when we have citizens and ministers who are walking and governing themselves, living in their higher selves, they become a walking lesson and a demonstration to all new citizens. I know we have classes and all of this, but sometimes the best lesson, in fact, I would say the very best lesson is life itself, and an active demonstration in people, inspiring people on what it is to be a Moorish American, but also just the maxims of truth and action. You know, what it is to be gods and goddesses. Islam. Thank you for allowing me.
Islam, and gratitude for that grand measure, guys. Once again, we have to understand that male and female was created at the same time by the great God Allah, and each has a job to do for the whole. So just gratitude for that grand measure. Mighty Musa.
Islam. Praise and honor, praise, the greatest of praises goes to the great God Allah. Highest honors goes to his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and honors to the forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garden. What are the benefits of knowing who you are? One of the benefits for me of knowing who I was goes into the one-on-ones and start at question 70. It says, what is the higher self? The higher self is the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life, and breed justice, mercy, love, and right. It says, can the higher self pass away? No. Why? Because there's a law in man. And it says, what does the lower self breed? Hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything in arms. So, knowing that I had a higher self and a lower self, I knew which one I wanted to conduct myself in and try and do and stay diligent to maintain living in my higher self. And even if I slipped or fell, to make speedy recovery and redemption so that I can continue to go forward. It helped me to know that we don't pass away, that the form leaves, but we still continue on with our mission to get back in line with the deepest will, because we're the spirit, and that spirit is energy. And even in their science, they tell you energy never dies. So that was what I thought was a great benefit. It helped my outlook on life change tremendously. Because I used to hear people say, "Oh, we're gonna die anyway, so don't matter what you do." And then I even hear Christians talk about didn't matter what they did because they're going to be redeemed anyway. They were gonna, God was gonna bless them anyway. They could do what they want to do, but Sunday come in and say, praise the Lord. Everything was all right. So I'm hearing these things out. This is in my family, and my father has been raising me as a Muslim since I really got introduced at the age of 2. But actually going to the temple, I didn't start going to the temple to the age of 3. Just on an off comment, one of the brothers who was a devout Christian asked me, where did I get this religion from? Jail? Was I in jail when I got this? I said, well, it's more science. So it's it's beyond what you understand as religion. You can call it religion, but it is how you should live. It's the way to live. So I don't want you to get caught up in comparisons to what you understand as religion now. He also said, because I told him I had never eaten pork. I don't know what it's like to taste pork. I went from the bottle to eating that baby food to coming into eating how my father said we had to eat. So when I got to the table, it was, you're not eating pork. My mom had consumed pork, my dad had consumed it, but me personally, I haven't. And it, I didn't know that was but people always, they say, oh, you trying to be a Muslim because you're not eating pork. I didn't know that was the only thing that you had to do in order to be a Muslim. I didn't eat no pork. Hooray! I'm a Muslim. It's so much more than a pork-free diet. So don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in just the pork-free diet portion of the program. There's love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Do you have the understanding of those? When it benefited me greatly to learn that that you don't die, that this form leaves, but the energy that emanates in here, that personifies this thing, still moves on. Islam.
Islam, and gratitude for that measure, Mighty Musa. Before we close out, I just want to share the screen, and we will be doing part 2 to this lesson next Sunday. Just want to share this on the screen for any of our family watching on Facebook. If you have any, please forward your questions or concerns to either 2 of these emails, mdconsulatemag1@gmail.com or mdconsulatemag@gmail.com for any questions or comments or anything you want to know about your government, Moorish American government. Please send emails and we will respond. So we're going to close out Moors and looking forward to next week's class for part 2. And Anwar, you got the warning. I'll read this before, and then you come behind me with the warning. Moorish leaders' historical message to America. In conclusion, I urge you to remember there is work enough for all to do in helping to build a better world. The problems of life are largely social and economic. In a profound sense, they are moral and spiritual. Have lofty conceptions of your duties to your country and fellow man in general, and especially those with whom you deal. This includes such honesty and righteousness as will cause you to put yourself in the other fellow's place. Look for the best that is in you. Have a deeper appreciation for womanhood. Brighten the hopes of our youth in order that their courage be increased to dare and do wondrous things. Adhere at all times to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I am your affectionate leader. I shall continue. to labor day and night, both in public and private, for your good, thereby contributing to the welfare of our country and its people as a whole. Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Just one question. I thought Eve came from Adam's rib.
Say it again. Yeah.
I thought Eve came from Adam's rib.
Is that what you thought?
That's what I thought.
We'll pick
Islam,
that up on the next class.
January 15, 1929, a warning from the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all citizens that they must end all radical agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the street. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at your pen that causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequences. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any citizen or group of citizens who hold malicious feelings towards the government or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the government is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the government. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways by order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Islam. Mr. Shankadija Bag, I didn't hear. Make the whole class apologize. It's the time change. I'll be at work. I had put that up earlier, but I could read the warning. Rise giving praise to God Allah. Honest to his prophet, honest to honest due, honest to divine guidance, honest to Act 1, honest to all the Moors online for this grand class, and most important, honest to our citizens and children. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nations. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relations that bind you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brothers is Islam, if thy brothers is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister's in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all and your love to each other. Islam. And I'm glad you bring in part 2 to this, because there's a lot more that need to be said about the topic, and for folks, so far what I heard, it needs to be balanced. Islam.
Islam. Gratitude. Grand class Moors, and we are looking forward to part 2 next week.
Islam.
Grand class, and
thanks for the well wishes yesterday. Thank you.
Islam.
yes, thanks to all that helped to make this a grand class, man. Your participation and your energy made it magnificent. I love when those thoughts are just popping off, bang, 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 and people are getting them ideas out there. I love that, because it means that we're thinking, and it means that we're in unison. That's a powerful thing. Peace and love to you all. I love you. Long live Moorish America. Long live Moorish America.
Islam.
Islamism.